Good news, Brett. Movie stars are back. May I introduce you to Subject A, Mr. Glen Powell.
Glen Powell. All right.
Let's turn the page
Twisters,
to
baby.
Twisters and talk about Glen Powell, Daisy Edgar-Jones, and the reboot, remake, sequel to the 90s, whatever, popular film.
Number 10 on our list of the best summer blockbusters of all time.
Twister.
And can I say real quick before we talk about Twisters?
Yeah.
I rewatched Twister.
Great movie.
Before I saw Twisters. Not just a great movie, Joe. Within the sort of bounds of its genre and the expectations you would have for such a movie, a perfect movie.
Bang.
A movie that I cannot imagine how it would be made better. Within what it's trying to do, within the genre, within the character arcs, etc., a perfect freaking movie. Man, because I'd forgotten how long it takes for you to get to the first actual twister in Twister. That first 30 minutes, though, before you even see the big tornado and go, oh my God, that tornado's big, you get incredible fucking character development. Oh my God, every dynamic is on point. From Bill Paxton to Helen Hunt. Oh my God, why don't we get Can we get some more Helen Hunt in the movies, please? She's
how about
so freaking
Deadpool and
good.
Helen Hunt?
Thank
That should be the
you.
next one, all right?
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Tar director Todd Field is in this. Carrie Elwes, Jamie Gertz, minority owner of the Atlanta Hawks, is in this. I mean, this.
Really?
She married a billionaire who bought the Hawks, but she's the face of the purchase. She's at every game, baby.
Right.
Jamie is the face of the Atlanta Hawks.
Cool.
I love her. Jeremy
right.
Davies in this thing. I mean, this movie is so freaking good at just quickly establishing this love triangle, and then the kooky cast of characters surrounding it. Oh my God, it is funny, it is sexy, it is adult. It's like an adult feeling summer blockbuster. This movie is fucking perfect.
And it's got your thrills and chills.
It's got your thrills and
It's
chills.
scary.
When they head out to go to the first Twister, to track down the first Twister, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman starts cranking Deep Purple on like the loudspeaker, and then they're just like flying down these backcountry roads to find. Oh my God, I was like, this is movies. This is the movies.
So you liked it more? Did you like it more than Twisters?
I did.
Okay.
So what do you think of Twisters?
Well, you know what? It's kind of funny because now that I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, I love Twisters. But before I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, I saw Twisters by itself. Okay, here's what I thought coming out of it. So just to say a little summary for those that didn't see it, Daisy Edgar-Jones plays this weather savant that can always sort of tell where a tornado's going, but she suffers a terrible tragedy when she gets in over her head in her youth, and some of her friends lose their life when she goes into F5. What kind of
F5 is the big
an
one.
F5 tornado. Yeah. She loses some, so she goes to New York.
You can YouTube F5s. I did it. Oh boy,
dude, tornadoes. Okay,
dude,
I'm gonna
YouTube
say
F5s.
Dude,
it's crazy.
That's too scary for me.
It's
Brett.
crazy.
I'm not doing that.
It's like a wall.
It's scary for
crazy.
me. Okay, so she's a savant. She puts her friends and her friend. They go to chase a tornado and they die. She lives, and so does her partner. What's the actor's name? I'm so sorry. I host the movie podcast. We had 2 movies. I forget the actor's name.
You're talking about Anthony Ramos.
Yeah, Anthony Ramos.
Hamilton. Yeah.
So Ramos and Daisy Edgar-Jones live. Anyway, they go their separate ways. It cuts to a couple years later. Ramos is working for this company where they got all this gear, and all they need now is the savant to come with them, because once they get the magic woman in the mix, she's going to help unlock their whole business. So she goes with him despite herself. And along the way, they learned that tornado chasing, it's a bit of a popular thing now. Increased in popularity by this humongous YouTuber played by Glen Powell, this crazy fun guy and his ragtag team of Mr. Beast-esque, losers. And they go out into the tornado and they like make a big YouTube about it, and they put fireworks up in it, and they're reckless and scary.
Yep.
And Daisy Edgar-Jones goes, woo, ooh, ooh, this guy is a crazy guy. He must be all wrong. Guess what she learns throughout the course of the film, folks?
He's all right.
And actually, Ramos is a little wrong. But don't worry, Ramos comes around in the end. It's a love triangle, not nearly as impactful as the one in Twister. But that's sort of the gist of this movie. Glen,
it's a
and
love
Daisy,
triangle in a universe where no one has ever had sex before.
Well, yes. Exactly, which is a problem with this movie because there is no sex in the movie. And even at the end of the movie, when Glen Powell is supposed to kiss Daisy Edgar-Jones, the movie demurs.
How dare you? How dare you in the trailer give me Glen Powell in like a wet t-shirt and cowboy hat coming out of a
He looks
house?
great.
Even sitting there in the trailer, I was like, Glenn fucked at least one person coming out. Like in that house is just splayed out bodies of the orgy that Glen Powell just exited. Surely. Nope. There's not a single. I don't know if any two characters like touch in this movie.
Like in Deadpool and Wolverine and in Twisters, like back-to-back weekends, huge money, big stars, both have plenty of ample opportunities to include any sort of sex. Both take the fucking pass. Twisters is just like a sexless. You know what's so crazy? It's sexless. It should have had like some insane sex scene. I wanted to see Glen Powell, do his thing. Wait, sorry, Brett.
Please go ahead.
But the chemistry was good. Like, I thought my favorite part about Twisters was twofold. One is, oh my God, tornadoes are scary. Okay, like
great job on the tornadoes,
dude.
Scary tornadoes.
Tornadoes are scary, and every single time in the movie Twisters, when the big tornado was ripping apart Oklahoma, every time I was like, oh no, that is scary. I did not like it. Yeah. And the second thing was, I thought that Glenn was being sexy in the movie, and I kind of was like into his, romance with Daisy, even though her character was a little like lame and a little like thin. I thought that they did a good job of making me really want them to give a big smooch at the end because I'm watching a fucking movie in a fucking movie theater. Kiss, losers.
Yes.
And they don't. What kind of message are we sending to our sexless Gen Zs and our children that Glen Powell doesn't kiss Daisy Edgar-Jones at the end of Twisters?
He does at the very least. Here's what I think happened. If I can give you, I think there's a bigger. No, I'm saying like in real, like he would.
They both spent the whole entire movie being very like excitingly sexual chemistryed.
They give us tension.
If I'm not asking for the MacGruber sex scene, I just want them to have a kiss at the end.
Here's what I think is the bigger problem and what it's at the core of all this. When you rewatch Twister, the original Twister, it is a movie that is written for adults. It's a summer blockbuster. It's a Roland Emmerich movie, but it was written, or not a Roland Emmerich movie, John de Bont movie. It is written for adults though. Like the dynamics, like it's about like divorce and it's like for adults. But the thing is, when you write a movie like Twister for adults, the kids come along for the ride. Teenagers come along for the ride for a movie like that because there's nothing more exciting as a teenager than when you feel like a movie is entertaining and it's giving you this doorway to adulthood and adult themes. That's fucking thrilling.
Yeah, plus tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Perfect.
You get everything. Right, yeah. You get, because like kids are looking forward, looking to the future. They're like, what's adulthood going to be like? I want to get a glimpse of this. And so Twister is smart enough that it gives you both. But Twisters feels like it was written for an adult's idea of a teenager. This is the screenwriter who wrote The Revenant and the George Clooney movie The Boys in the Boat. Why the fuck is he writing Twisters, okay? Because what happens is the worst part, I know, but it's not going to be the guy you give Twisters to. It's just that the thing that the movie fails at the most, which is what the first one really succeeded at, is it really fails at like the kooky group of eccentric characters around the main characters. It fails at that so miserably. The dialogue is so hollow. Everyone is like really annoying. They all feel like some annoying like YouTube collective. They all feel like a collective of influencers. Mm-hmm. And I know that's what they literally are, but like the pleasure of the first movie was like, man, these guys are fucking out there, this weirdo group of people. And they also like, the first movie is so good about having them all sort of like fight with each other because they're around each other all the time. But in Twisters, the kooky group of characters is like annoyingly like they're annoyingly like
they're besties.
Yeah, and it's just like you're watching them just like a high five and talk to each other's moms on the phone, and it's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Bust some balls,
It ultimately feels just like, again, like an adult, like the guy who wrote The Revenant and Boys in the Boat trying to be like, what are like kids sort of like, how do they sort of like interact these days, and like how to like, because particularly the first group of eccentric people you meet is like they're all very young, they're all like kids in college essentially, and the dialogue just feels very much like I said of an adult's idea of what those kind of kids would talk about, and as a result you get stranded in between because the movie doesn't have like the actual vitality of youth because it's just some weird sort of imitation of youth, but it also doesn't have like the experience and the nuance of adulthood. It's just like it's a movie that in many ways feels scared of adulthood and its refusal to like pay off any of its sexual tension. It weirdly, like you've said, aggressively avoids this love plot that it is like
which is the best part of the movie.
Yes, it's like it is just telling us that there is this love plot that it refuses to ever sort of pay off in any meaningful way. It's bizarre. It's like kind of like cynical to imply that much sexual tension without even remotely exploring like the furthest edge of it. And like you said, consider the facts here. Because we're also not like this makes it sound like we were just sitting in Twisters like a couple of perverts being like, make Glen and Daisy kiss. But we are just going off
I
of,
was in fairness.
But we are going off of what we're seeing in the movie. And here's what you see in the movie.
The whole movie's driving to this point, right?
Glen and Daisy are both like adrenaline junkies. They are both like tornado savants.
Right.
They both look like models.
Right.
They share, beyond all that, they share this like intrinsic bond that only true love is made out of. And like they're gonna fuck. These two people are gonna, they are like, it's like two cosmic forces coming in. You can't stop these, like this movie has to like.
Glen meets Daisy's mom. They all have dinner together. The mom loves
these two
Glen.
Characters are gonna
they
fuck.
all love each other.
It's gonna happen. You can't stop it. And like the fact that you don't allow it to happen is this weird like
it's called Twisters.
Yes.
Shouldn't they twist up? Shouldn't they like zoom? Shouldn't they pulled together by unknown forces?
That's the other thing. It's like
it's the whole theme of the fucking movie.
These two characters who could not be better suited for each other are also existing in this moment of like possible death at any moment. How are they not gonna fuck? They're gonna fuck at the very least just to like release some tension.
They're both so nice. They're both so hot. They both care about the community. They both are in it for a higher cause. How are they? Look, it is so weird.
Joe and I are not like the reason we're bringing this up is because like they don't even like kiss. They don't even like touch.
No, they do not.
It's bizarre.
It is uncomfortable.
It's bizarre.
This, do you think it's some sort of like, because this is a red? I'm now here. I get in the basement takes, but like this is a red state movie. Like they were just like, but it's, oh yeah, like blue states are so into like, that's not what I'm saying either. But do you think there's some sort of like, oh, this is gonna play big in the Midwest, and like they don't need the kisses?
Much like I feel like this is much of the dialogue is like an adult's version of what young people talk like. This movie feels to me like a blue states version of what a
the
red
Democrats
state movie
wrote
would
a red
be.
state movie.
It's like
right,
the Democrats wrote a
exactly.
red state movie. It's exactly what it is.
Right, that's what this
because you
like.
saw, look, and I love this director. Lee Isaac Chung did Minari, which is fucking incredible. There's a lot of really nice directed sequences in this movie. There's a sequence near the end where like everyone's like huddling in a movie theater, and then like the movie screen in the front of the movie theater like blows out from the tornado, and then you just like see the town and the tornado like where the movie screen was.
Awesome.
It's a really well executed
It looked
shot.
awesome.
It's gorgeous. He does a lot of good work in this movie. He was weirdly tiptoeing around stuff in the press tour. I don't know if you saw, but like they were asking him like, why don't you ever explicitly mention climate change in your movie about a unprecedented amount of tornadoes all happening at the same time? And he said something about like he didn't want to make the movie political. It was just about the characters and this and that. Which is like it's like
okay,
like then this is because the funny thing is though, if you're not going to mention
then
climate
kiss.
change, then kiss, and also this is just like, and also like this is Sharknado then, because like there's no reason why there's like 8 massive tornadoes happening at the same time in the same place.
It had a nice like the political thread though was nice. People must take advantage of tornado ravaged communities. Like when a natural disaster strikes, the bad guy in Twisters like leeches off these people, probably buys their property for
that
cheap.
plot was
like,
very
that's like a nice political that's a nice little something. But
that's still
it is funny to not mention.
Like,
it is not. It is funny to not mention climate change because the plot of Twisters is, oh my God, there's a once in 1,000 year amount of twisters in Oklahoma. There's like
Yes.
a bajillion of
Why
them
could this
at
be
all
happening?
times.
Why is this happening?
Why is this happening? No one knows. But you know, this is like a theme. And I'm not happy to report this. I'm just telling you what's up. I remember Disney a couple months ago, Bob Iger, I think, or one of his lackeys said, we need to stop. I swear to God, I'm paraphrasing. We're going to stop making woke movies or like worrying about, you know, DEI sort of initiatives. And we're just going to go back to like broad movies. And that was part of the marketing for Inside Out 2. It certainly was part of the marketing for Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was also now part of the marketing for Twisters, where these people are getting the talking points to come out and say, don't worry, this movie is not woke. It doesn't have anything to do with climate change. It has nothing political. It's just a fucking movie, and they don't kiss. Don't worry. And I think that is a trend that we're going to be seeing more of, and I think it's financially lucrative, and I think that it's a shame, but I think that it's going to keep happening.
They did it, and I also don't know. I don't know like what impact it actually has on anything. I still think people would have come out for Inside Out 2 because
Brett, I'm starting to be suspicious of the people of the like I'm starting to think that you guys don't want your movies to have any sort of inclusionary concepts or progressive thought incorporated into it at all.
But the casting of Twister was very diverse, which is like, and like
people don't hate seeing. I think like on one hand, yeah. On the other hand, no.
It's more about the marketing.
Leads were white. Okay,
it's more about the marketing of the movie than I think the content of the movie. I think like
right. That's what I'm saying. It's this new thing. We always have to get the PR release before the big movie comes out. That don't worry, this movie's not going to be inherently political in any way, shape, or form. Which is a shame, but I think it's working financially. I mean, I think they're doing it intentionally, is what I'm saying.
I think so.
I think you should watch out for it.
The reason that whole thing happened with Bob Iger is because I think there was a couple far right members of the Disney board that basically like held the board sort of hostage and was like, we're gonna cause a fucking stink on the board of directors of Disney. We're gonna try to get a group together to get Iger fired. There was one guy in particular, I can't remember his name, but you can go look him up. But there was like a far right contingent of the board that like really held Iger's feet to the fire, and that's when he came out with this like message of like, okay, we're not going to be woke anymore, blah blah blah.
It's a shame because all of the quote unquote wokeness came out of a lot of the things that happened at the beginning of the pandemic and during the whole Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of corporations understood that they needed to right their ship in regards to like these diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, but then the couple years after that were the bad years of post-COVID. Everybody wasn't going to the movies, so Turning Red didn't make a lot of money. So now we never get to hear about a fucking Asian American experience ever again in the entire Disney world, because like the 2 years after COVID, when they pretended to care about diversity, those were tough financial years. So now we just have to go broad constantly. I'm kind of spinning my own narrative here, but I feel like there's a thread of something I'm saying that happened.
Here's the one good thing I like coming out of Twisters though is they are hinting at a third movie, and I hope that they go along with this. But there are hints in the movie that a third Twisters would take place in New York City, and it's like tornadoes hit New York City.
Love it.
I think they should do it. I want to see Glen and Daisy like full on into like the third phase of their sexual relationship where they're trying like
they're opening entirely,
it up, really opening up, and they're just like so inventive with it. I want to see like real. I want to see
incorporating like they like drive into the tornado, they like screw down into the ground, and they just get busy in a tornado.
All right, it's like Cronenberg's Crash.
I'm listening.
But instead of like people being turned on by fucking in car crashes, or I can't remember exactly what that movie was about. Yeah,
David's always about.
Now Daisy and Glenn are like turned on. They can only like fuck in the eye of a tornado. It's like the only thing gets them off. So they have to like find tornadoes.
Oh, I need to get off.
Yes, and then like fucking the eye of the tornado. Because the other cool thing, much like I'm gonna put this up there with Chris Hemsworth's what did he have, the motorcycle chariot?
I love that was awesome.
Yeah, his motorcycle chariot in Furiosa. I'm gonna put Glen Powell's tornado truck up there as one of the best vehicles of the year.
Hell yeah,
because Glen Powell has this like pickup truck that he's outfitted so insanely, where he'll drive right into the eye of the tornado, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? That car's gonna get picked up and tossed around." But no, Glenn has these like drills on the truck, and he like drills down into the earth, so the truck is clinging to the earth, and it doesn't move, and so he can just sit there in the eye of this tornado and shoot fireworks up at it and whatever he wants to do.
So cool.
It's great.
Just to say it again, to put a pin in this whole entire thing, I really do think Glen Powell is great.
I like Glen Powell a lot.
He takes a lot of cues and finds mentorship from Tom Cruise, who is, one of the great movie stars. I don't know if Glen Powell will ever be Tom Cruise. I don't know if there will ever be another Tom Cruise again. But I do think that Glen is a really great star who I'm really excited to continue to see being in movies. I think he was really good in Twisters. He was charming as hell. He looked amazing.
He's great in
He was
Twisters.
funny. He brought the energy. He brought the zing. Every time he was on screen, Twisters was working for me, except the end when he didn't kiss the Daisy Edgar-Jones. But that wasn't Glenn's fault. He even sold that BS moment. I mean, I'm really happy for Glenn. I thought he was hotter in Twisters than he was in Hitman. But Hitman obviously hotter than Twisters because there's no kissing in Twisters. But Glenn was sexier in Twisters than in Hitman, because in Hitman he did his stupid SNL reel and I didn't want to see it. But in Twisters he just wore the small t-shirt and the cowboy hat and he said "Ye fucking haw." Love it.
The movie
Summer of
really,
Glen.
he comes in like a little later than you expect. He comes in maybe like 20-minute mark, and man, you just feel the energy.
You're like, thank
You feel the
goodness.
energy when he shows up.
What do you think about Daisy Edgar-Jones as an actor?
I think she's really good. I don't think she
I
was
think
given
the part kind of
I don't think she was given a lot to do in this movie.
think she was
thought she
kinda
was
good.
good. Yeah, I thought she was good, and I just would have liked to seen them develop a relationship with Glen Powell a little bit more. I think that would have brought out more aspects of her character.
Her character was a little soft, but
Yeah.
she did it well, and I think she's pretty good at acting.
I thought they were a little like infantilizing of her in the way they wrote the character,
Yeah.
just like how she has this like her relationship with her previous partner, who you see sort of early on in the movie. It just felt like this, like they were like high school Christian virgins.
Well,
or
she was
something,
she was playing like a college freshman or whatever, college sophomore or whatever.
She was getting her grad degree. She was like
Oh,
in
was-
grad school. Yeah. She's like, no,
Brett's
she's like,
right.
Yeah, she's like,
I guess
there's like,
she was,
but
well,
again,
she was happy-go-lucky, and then she became
all
sad,
this goes
you
back.
know?
All this goes back to like the best way to describe this movie is it's like a bunch of Democrats tried to write their idea of a red
did,
state
yeah,
movie.
that's
It's
what it is.
what
They
happened.
they literally like go to a rodeo and Glenn's like, I used to do the rodeo, and it's like, all right, screenwriter who lives 3 minutes away from this studio, relax.
Here's what I
relax.
here's what I think. Here's one possible moment that might have happened in the movie, though, off camera, because we get when Glenn shows up at Daisy's like childhood home, and Daisy's mom is Maura Tierney,
Yeah.
just giving you straight Maura Tierney
Yep.
attitude. It was
Perfect.
she's great. I was like, for a second, I was like, oh, Glenn and
That'd
the
have been
mom-
awesome.
Glenn and the mom have more chemistry, and like because they ceaselessly like infantilize Daisy, and so it's like,
I
well,
know.
Glenn makes a better partner for the mom. And then when he has the famous shot in the trailer of him walking out of the house in the rain, I leaned over to Amy, and I was like, Glenn just fucked her mom. And she was like, I know. And it's like, even though the movie refuses to acknowledge
Okay,
this,
you know what?
it's
that's a good reading of the film.
It's
No, that's
impossible
good.
to deny.
I know.
And that would explain why he and Daisy never get together. It's because Glenn,
I like that.
for all of his sexiness, is a man of honor, and
I like
he said, well, I'm already in a committed relationship with your mother, and so
Call me dad,
call me daddy.
but not in the fun way. I am
Not in the
legally-
fun
I am
way.
legally your
Your
father.
father.
Go upstairs, clean your room.